Hi folks, John with the Wingman 115 channel. Thanks for checking in. Today I'm with
Jaime Leon de la Parra of JLD Instinctive Archery.
Now today's video is a follow-up to one that I recently posted. On our last trip we had an accident, and when you're out here and you're doing things, accidents are going to happen. Well, in that video we talked a little bit about first aid, talked about our kits. Today we're doing a reflection. I gave my thoughts in that video, and today we're going to deep dive into Jaime's, his kit, his thought process behind it. Basically a thorns and roses type of talk. So with that, Mr. Jaime.
Just to briefly recap over what happened, as John was getting stuff set up here in filming station, I was in the background getting ready for a knife review, and I was putting on a lanyard onto a handle, doing everything safe. Ironically, I actually made a video a while back here on the Wingman channel about knife safety. If you have your knife on the handle and you're going to extract it from the sheath, instead of extracting the knife from the sheath, remove the hand with the holding onto the sheath. That way the hand holding the blade stays stationary. So I was abiding by my own protocol, and in the removing of the sheath, the hand holding the sheath actually came up and that blade kissed the finger just a little bit too much. So even though in retrospect I look at what I could have done if I was by myself applying pressure to the cut, this is where that cut was at. Could I have still gotten into my kit by applying pressure because the blood was coming out? Luckily, I had John, he had his kit, so it made it easy to tend to that situation. Now, some people may think that, that wasn't that big of a deal, blah, blah, blah. You got to take things like this seriously. Thank God it wasn't, an axe to the shin or something to that degree. This is something that, because we were properly prepared and we had, the woods buddies out here together, we were able to take care of that situation. But never disregard a small cut or a small injury as no big deal. Got to take it serious when you're out in the back country, because you got infection. What if panic sets in? What if all of a sudden it becomes more serious than you thought? You should have taken care of it beforehand. So we'll touch upon the gear that I used, and also I'll talk about a little bit on the protocol, the aftermath of what I did to ensure that I did a good healing process. But the biggest thing for the both of us is what we learned through this experience. And again, in the aftermath, we individually were critiquing ourselves of what could we have done better? Where can we improve upon? And I'll dive into that as far as some of the improvements that I did. John, was there anything that you could have improved on or
most definitely
bring to the table on that one?
It got me thinking about this. Now, I'm in my mid-50s, and, when I think about when's the last time that I've had any formal first aid training? And for a lot of us, it might have been in the Boy Scouts or some youth group many, many, many years ago. Fortunately for me, I've been involved in scouting for a lot of years, so I always had to stay up on certs and quals and things like that. So it's only been maybe 7 years, but still, it's like anything, like exercising or practicing any sort of skill, playing a musical instrument. If you don't constantly practice something, you're not going to be sharp. And with that, I have to do a little self-reflection and admit I was a little rough in regards to the discipline of items in my kit. Basic first aid knowledge was there, but still there's always more that we can learn and to be able to react, because there's situations where if maybe an artery got hit, where seconds could make a difference. And if you're hesitating and wondering, oh my gosh, what do I do? Where do I go? And all this stuff, by that time somebody could have bled out and really had a serious problem. So what we're going to do is get our butts off our station here. We're going to look at Jaime's kit. We're going to break it down. Then we'll come back and wrap this video up.
Okay, folks, so this is a quick overview of my canteen survival kit, and then I'll touch upon, I'll do a little bit of a gear dump, a little bit on this IFAC, individual first aid kit. But I did do a gear dump on all of this if anyone's interested. This is the Self-Reliance canteen case and cook kit. but I do have a lot of accoutrements in here. I'm not going to do it now. Just go see that link. But in case those that are wondering, Tops Brachimo, love this knife. It fits great on the MOLLE on the side. Baco Laplander folding saw with this particular magazine pouch. Got off of Amazon again with a MOLLE. It fits great. And then obviously all the accoutrements, some gloves up here. But watch that video if you're interested to see what's all in here. Some things have gotten pulled out, new things have gotten added in. In that video I spoke about some of the improvements I need to do, so that's happened, so check that out. But regarding this kit, for the last few years I've been rocking this old school military first aid kit individual, as it's stated on here, and it worked great because it had the Alice clips. It attached to the MOLLE straps that were on here on the canteen case. It worked great. Had everything that I need. Obviously, with what it came in here originally, I dumped it out because it was a lot of old stuff and upgraded it with what I needed. But due to the scenario that occurred, I decided to upgrade the case, because one of the things that I noticed was if I wanted to get to certain things quickly and easily, it wasn't happening with this. I had to pop this out, had to break this open, already having trouble, and boom. So, and then dumping it out. So in this case, that's not going to happen. So I went down to give a shout out to G.I. Joe's over in El Cajon, San Diego. Great place, been going there since like 1999 when I got here with the Navy. Anyways, I picked up this Condor Sidekick pouch. It's a utility pouch, and what I saw worked great, or it had all the characteristics that I was looking for to make this into my individual first aid kit. So now, with all my new gear, I always tend to do little mods. So as I go through this, I'll talk about that. So let's talk about the very front pouch that you see here, this little zipper. This came with a metal, your typical metal zipper pull tab. Right away, I like to cut those off because they're slick. I want to get something with a little bit more of a grip, so I got some bank line, threw a little half hitch on there. If you're going to do a mod like that, always make sure that your intended material is going to slip through the hole that's on that zipper. So the worst thing you want to do is cut that out, and then your paracord don't fit. In this case, bank line fit in, makes it easy to just rip it open. Now, one of the things that the most common thing that's going to happen when you're out here is getting little cuts, not like this, but something smaller. So I keep band-aids. So I always recommend that if you got a kit, make sure you update your band-aids at a minimum every year, maybe twice a year, because the adhesives, you got to check that. So I got some cloth, waterproof, stretchy, with a good adhesive on these band-aids. If you notice, they're on a Ziploc bag. Also, I got some towelettes that have antiseptic on it and some Q-tips. Q-tips are great to, whether it's something in a cut or in your eye, instead of using dirty fingers, even if they're gloved, the Q-tip's better. Some people may say that the Q-tips, the fibers, let's say you're trying to get something out of the eye, might scar up the eye. I'd rather use a Q-tip basically, and it's clean because it's in this Ziploc bag. The purpose also of the Ziploc bag, it keeps these band-aids organized and it allows them to easily slip into this tight little pocket. Because those that have kits know that if you're taking band-aids in and out, that paper wrapping tends to start breaking open. So that just makes it real easy. You saw how quickly I slipped it out and slipped it right back in. And there it is. So that's that first pouch with my little zipper modification. Now we're going to get into the inside, the main thing. One of the things that's great about this, even if I had like the injury that I had, I knew that I could grab, putting pressure on that wound, I could come in here, pop that open, and boom. Now this feature of this kit gives you this tabletop 90-degree station. So normally I'm hanging my gear. Here for this presentation we got it sitting, resting. But if I'm hanging it, I know that my gear isn't going to go flopping out like your typical clamshell kits. So everything's there stationary. The first thing, if it was in a really bad bleed that I want to get to, is want to get one of these combat pads. So it's sitting right there. That's the first thing that can come out. So whether it's a leg, arm, just a real serious heavy bleed, here it is right here. As well as with a bandana or your military crevasse. I might be saying that wrong. Now, the second mod that I did was, you could see that this is what adjusts the angle of this lid as it opens up. This was reversed when it was purchased. And if you go and see pictures online, the Condor Sidekick, you'll notice that this is on looped around the other way. So this adjustment area is more towards the top, towards this pocket. So it got in the way. I simply undid the knots I undid these knots and flipped it around and made it easier. So that was another mod that I did to mine, which then takes us to this other pocket. I'm not going to take everything out, but in this other pocket I do have some extra bandages. Well, this is a heavy, again, heavy military grade type of compression. And then I start getting into butterfly closures, other pads, such as antiseptic wipes, that kind of a thing, moleskin, just other things in this handy pocket. Again, keeps everything organized. Now, one of the things I want to talk about that I carry in here, but not for what you would think, is I got some suture gear. Now, I spoke about not stitching up out in the field, and that's correct. I would probably rather use this for some kind of repair for clothing or gear. Worst case scenario, yeah, I would use it for what its intended purposes, but 99% of the chance I'm not going to do that. But I do want to have it because it then provides me with an extra tool for other options. But I would rather leave this for back in the rear when you're getting clinical aid. You got a doctor or a physician assistant that's been properly trained on how to use that. I'm not. So, but I do like to have it in the kit for other purposes. And again, you can see it's organized. It sits in there well. So that's that little pocket. Now I got a couple other things, some iodine, eye wash. In here I got a little bit of a medication, so ibuprofen, some anti-diarrhea. Anti-diarrhea, some people may say, why would you want? Well, you don't want to not only just be crapping yourself all over in the woods if you ate something wrong or drank some bad water, but also it's to prevent dehydration. That's the big thing for having an anti-diuretic type medication. So that's something to look into. If you keep any meds, just make sure they're kind of on the general purpose side, not too much on the specialty side. If you do have specialty meds, it better be for you, and you know what your prescriptions are, that kind of a thing. But that's, talk to your medical provider. We're not doctors or lawyers out here, so we're just giving you our advice of what we carry. Now, one of the things that, due to the incident, that opened up my eyes, even though I carry medical tape in here to wrap up a wound, and you would see me doing that in our video, Coban. And Coban is that stretchy material, and this is in my post-healing when I was reapplying my dressings. I just got away from tape and used good old stretchy Coban. And I have about a little over a yard wrapped up in here, which may not seem like that much, but that's in a relaxed state, because once you stretch this stuff out and start wrapping it up, it goes a long way. So this is enough to get me through an incident similar to what I experienced, or maybe if I had to use more. Now, I did wrap it around this. It's hard to see, but it's an eyeglass screw case. It's just something that I had that I needed to wrap this Coban around. But hey, I wear glasses. If I'm doing an overnighter, I got contacts on. They're coming out at night, and I'm putting on glasses on. If John's got cheater glasses on, if you need a screw repair, well, we got it here. So it's more of a kit repair thing, not so much first aid, but it works well to wrap that Coban around. So that's in there for those reasons. Also, just some anti-itch medication or bug bite stuff, some chapstick, which is a government issue. It's kind of funny. And I mean, that's about it. I mean, just your cuts, your bites, so you got to be able to clean stuff out. I got some eye cleaner, eye wash, just the simple things to get you through a situation if it were to happen. For the more advanced medical kits, you better have the training for it. And chances are, if it gets to that situation, you need to be getting into a vehicle and getting some serious help. But this at least is enough to patch somebody up, patch myself up, and get out and get into safety. So again, referring back to the situation that we had enough gear, and the both of us, John and I, helping each other out to take care of that and carry on with the day without making it more dramatic than it could have been.
Now for some final thoughts on this video. Jaime, do you have any takeaways on this?
So yeah, one of the things that has come up both in the video that John posted regarding the original incident, and also in me doing my own research as I'm trying to self-educate, and this is something that I've been aware of, is the use of crazy glue. Now, just a little bit, in the last 10 years I've been in the military training arena, especially in tactical combat casualty care, or TCC, or tactical emergency casualty care, the civilian version. And in people either commenting on our previous video or just going online, there's talk of using crazy glue, super glue, to seal a wound. And I know that some people say that that's the origin of crazy glue and super glue in Vietnam, blah, blah, blah. The problem with crazy glue, if that's all you got, then by all means use it. But the problem with that, if you're running it along the whole edge of the wound to try to close it up and you seal it completely, great. You sealed it up, but did you clean it right? Is that glue going to irritate the skin, which sometimes it can, unless it's medical grade type super glue. So there's all these things that you better stay with the butterfly sutures. Regarding to actually even getting sutures on there, that's something that you want to leave to once you're back in a hospital or back with medical care. You want to let the wound bleed out, drain out. If it's still dirty, you want to be able to irrigate it and continue to clean it. So for me, in my healing process, in the days that followed, I always made sure that I did use my butterfly closures on there to make sure that there was drainage, because that was a deep cut. Didn't look much like in the photos in the video, but let me tell you, and I still got a little lump there.
Yeah,
but the
it was
point,
pretty deep.
and so the point is, regarding the crazy glue situation, don't go using it. Actually, some of my friends, they had they try to be quick about it to use crazy glue. They were at home and someone had a serious cut, and the person applying assistance with the glue ended up getting their fingers stuck onto the person with a cut. So things can, coulda, shoulda, woulda, Murphy's Law, all that stuff. But the point is, just keep it clean, keep those cuts clean, let them drain, and don't worry about bringing sutures or staples and all that in your kit, unless you are deep in the backwoods, or if that's all you got, that crazy glue, then if that's what you got, that's what you got. But I just kind of wanted to bring that to the forefront, because that seems to be a common thought. Use crazy glue. You might want to skip on that unless it's the absolute last resort.
So the whole idea and premise of this video is to help folks level up. There's always a chance for folks to learn more, and through our experiences and things that happen to us, hopefully that gives us an opportunity to be able to share some of that information with you folks out there. So what I'm going to do is in the video description below, I'll leave links to Red Cross, how to get a hold of your local Red Cross for good first aid training, whether it's CPR or just basic wilderness first aid. If you're near an REI has a lot of great classes. I know Knowles has a lot of great classes. And what I'll do is leave links to as many as I can find down below. And you just never know what your training is going to do. You could possibly save someone's life. And most likely it's going to be a family member, most likely, or a close friend, because that's who we hang around the most. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I want to say thank you, Jaime, for sharing your experience. I know a lot of times, it's humbling to show that we get hurt and things happen and stuff like that, because it's YouTube and we got to be cool and we got to be no mistakes, but we're real people as well, and we want to share our real life experiences with you folks. I'm all about keeping it real on the channel. So with that, folks, I thank you so much for watching. I thank you, Jaime, for helping out, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care, folks.